Super Mario Bros. 3 is home to one of the most iconic power-up sets in gaming history. The variety and accessibility you have to them is pretty much unmatched compared to any games before or after it. Amongst all of these empowering and strong transformations, there is one that has always stood out, in its own way, for better or for worse, and that is the Frog Suit. The Frog Suit is an uncommon power-up, only available a few times throughout the entire game, and its uniquely challenging control on land and in the air means it gets lost quickly and is overall seldom used. The advantage it does have is it provides very sturdy control in the water. You don't have to press anything and remain completely still. The trouble is, with how rare the suits are and being so easy to lose, you'd have to realize ahead of time which level is worth it to use on. It feels like they don't even want you to have it for long, since the first time you obtain a frog suit in this Toad House on World 3 after 2 levels isn't even an ideal time to try it out. After seeing this new thing hop into your inventory, what's any curious, right-minded player going to do with this new power-up? We'll throw it on for level 3, of course. And that's when you realize this power-up really doesn't make your life easier at all, especially if you're on land in a hurry trying to make some jumps. It's extremely likely that you'll lose the power-up right here, and then it feels like you didn't even get to really use it. With its unique hopping cycle instead of walking or running, Frog Mario is much less smooth on the ground, while also having more abrupt and extreme momentum in the air. The platforming ends up being much more difficult. After only a little bit of playing as the frog, it might make some wonder, how hard would it be to take on every single level with the frog suit? Is it even possible? There are a good handful of levels where the frog suit holds you back from the finish line, just due to not being able to duck. We'll touch on all of those examples in the honorable mentions. If you're aware of the levels ahead of time, you at least can avoid some of them entirely, like if they're optional with a fork in the road, or if you happen to have a cloud item. The only thing that makes this whole challenge possible without any cheats is the Super Nintendo All-Stars port with its save feature. In addition to saving world progress, it also saves your item inventory and allows you to visit previous worlds. So in order to build up a huge bank of frog suits, what you end up doing is playing through World 3 Stage 1 and Stage 2 for a frog suit, saving and quitting as fast as you can for well over an hour, and that's assuming there are minimal deaths. After around an hour and a half, you'll soon have 4 clips full of frog suits. Then you can save and quit, toggle back to World 1, and experience the ridiculousness of this frog suit challenge. With the highly difficult and inconvenient nature of this journey, the objective is to conquer every possible level with the frog suit. With that in mind, it becomes really important to lean on the save feature as wisely as possible. We luckily have the ability to use and lose our frog suits without much stress and worry, as long as we don't save after we've lost them. Whenever we get low on the suits, we can reset, so we don't lose all of our frog suit inventory. In order to make this preservation work on later worlds, it's smart to have a couple warp whistles in order to get back to places to continue your efforts. Being able to reset to the full inventory truly feels like we're getting to eat our cake and have it too. With our slots full of frogs, some built up lives, we are ready to see what it takes for Frog Suit Mario and Luigi to hop their way through over 80 levels. What are the most difficult of all these levels with these unusual and awkward amphibious limitations? Here are the top 10 hardest levels as Frog Mario and Frog Luigi. Number 10. Opening things up with a tie between World 7 Stage 5 and World 2 Pyramid. I know starting the list off with a tie may sound a bit blasphemous and spark some debate of which one belongs at 11. It was just too hard for me to choose since they have similar issues. You have to use shells to smash walls out of the way in both of them. In 7.5, you may think the level is outright impossible when you drop into a room that you cannot advance in due to the small gap, leading to a painful countdown of 200 to 300 seconds, while the pyramid in World 2 has you grabbing double the shells required to get past multiple walls, which can lead to some awkward and unpleasant situations. For 7.5, you might even think these bombs could help you get out, but they do not blow up blocks. So after dropping down here, you're stuck until time runs out. It feels like another example of a stage we can't complete until it dawns on you there were some Koopas in the previous room. And you can bring one of those shells down here now that we know what to expect. It does make for an awkward and dangerous moment too, with the shell bouncing back and forth. Things get a bit uneasy, but with that spot out of the way, now we can focus on the rest of the stage. If you're familiar with its layout, at least you know how it all works. There's a fair amount of puzzling involved to navigate through this stage, having to hit several invisible blocks from underneath in order to make your way across its gaps. There's another spot where you could use a Koopa shell on a block, but it may be more trouble than it's worth, with the tricky location. You can always make your way around it. There are more annoying situations, however, in World 2's Pyramid. It may be shocking to see a stage from World 2 on the list, but honestly, there are a few moments from the desert that aren't very kind to you in the frog form. In the pyramids, its unique way of navigation makes it obvious you're at an immediate disadvantage. You have to break some walls in this level, and usually you'd only have to break through the bottom part, whether you're Small Mario or running and ducking to get underneath, but now you need to break 2 blocks each wall. The bouncing shell can pose a problem. A good thing to realize is it seems like it gives you a bit of grace if you stand close enough with it bouncing back your way. Inconvenient and weird things can happen with the shell, accidentally defeating the enemy and sending you back to fetch another. With all the running around to break through the walls, a mistake or two is bound to happen and you'll find yourself tighter on time than you've been here in the past. I thought that these wall smashing moments with the shells in the frog suit was enough for 7-5 in World 2 Pyramids to tie at number 10 on the list. Number 9. Wendy's Airship. The slow auto-scrollers in the airships are something serious to contend with. The amount of tight and even unfair squeezes with the frog suit make some parts, including Wendy's Airship, an incredible problem. The huge issue is what feels like a tunnel of cannonballs and a bullet bill shooting right through the middle of it. It's just too horrible of a place to ignore, and a fantastic example of what makes this challenge much harder than the Small Mario one. Without the suit, we could be short enough for the bullet bill to pass over our head, but not anymore, which makes this section right here a complete mess. It's so hard to get through all this, it can feel downright impossible. You want to do your very best to land on a high cannonball to get over and out of the way of all of these problems. And then there's Wendy herself. With those 3 rings bouncing around, this is not a stage you want to get caught in a loop retrying. She is a pain of a fight, and her ship is nothing to underestimate. It's tedious, it'll burn through your patience and quite a bit of time, plus it can feel absolutely ridiculous, which is why Wendy's Airship, from only the 3rd world, has made it into the mix at number 9 on the list. Number 8. World 8 Air Fleet. It's not much of a surprise to see the level that's considered by many as the hardest in the entire game as one of the hardest to complete with the frog suit. Between the flames, quickly moving smaller ships, and all of the wrench-throwing moles, there's plenty out here that can strip you of your life and your suit. Now you're dealing with more finicky momentum, makes it much harder to land where you want. Your horizontal speed is just a lot harder to control. The little bops on the moles are harder to nail, and any corrections you have to do in the air can just feel so slippery and uncertain. The nice thing is that you do have a long jump as the frog, which can be great, but you've got to be careful since it can get away from you in a hurry. When you're feeling behind on the pace, things only get worse, as there's more wrenches floating through the screen, and you're more pressed on making your move for the brief openings. Air Fleet with the frog suit belongs in some collection of retro challenges. It'll make things clear just how much more difficult it is to control Frog Mario and Frog Luigi. Even the bounces off of enemies can have deadly consequences. It's quite the tough thing to finish. At least Boom Boom is predictable and there aren't any blocks in the way. There's a lot out here to get you, but with how uniquely challenging so many of these other stages can be with our new circumstances, the infamous Air Fleet only ranked number 8 on the list. Number 7. World 4 Airship. The airships all of course get that much more challenging in the frog suit, and there are a lot of tough moments out there, but none are as hopelessly tight as these stacked flames near the end of Lemmy's ship. It takes forever to reach one of the tightest situations in Mario Bros. 3. This jump with a frog suit is ridiculous. There's a lot of flames, but a lot of it is sitting and waiting, between just bits of movement, as long as you're looking ahead and not too impatient. There's some tough moments from this world, like dealing with the heavy hammer bros, but nothing else from World 4, and not much else in the entire game will strike fear into your heart like the move required to reach this boss in the frog suit. It may even feel impossible for a while, like there's just not quite enough room, until you hopefully recognize where the tiniest window is. Your larger frog sprite makes this jump a painful and cruel test. It's so tight that it reaches the point where it's not even fun anymore, waiting almost 2 minutes in a slow crawl just to be forced to restart by the horrific placement of these flames. It is such a relief to move past this horrible spot. It's so unpleasant. The last thing you want to do is barely get by this, then lose your skin on Lemmy. The nearly impossible jump required at the end of this level can be so emotionally draining. This is a moment that I overall never want to experience again. It's all from one part in a level despite the rest of it not even being that bad. The one spot was enough to earn this number 7 on the list. Number 6. World 8 Stage 2. With the return of the evil Mr. Sun. Now I want to make it clear that there are no shortcuts used on any of these levels, so of course this path hidden down the quicksand will be no exception. We are taking on the challenge. It wouldn't be right to snub any of these stages. The shortcut exists because they know it's hard, and without it, the stage has all of the material to be some players' worst nightmare. The hills with the fire-breathing piranha plants are their own issue to start things out, but you know things get serious when that sun shows itself as you go down the hill. He's something you'll have to keep your eye out for, and moving on to the slippery music note boxes, trying to time your jumps on these things feels like they're coated in ice, and your momentum is that much harder to deal with in the frog state. The multiple hills with fire-breathing piranha plants, the super slippery music note boxes, along with the final gaps to finish this stage off, is why World 8 Stage 2 has earned number 6 on the list. Number 5. World 5 Stage 8. Lakitu on his own is already notorious. One of the most annoying troll-like enemies in video game history. He already made your life miserable when you could run, and now Lakitu will become your worst enemy. He is awful. His spiky balls are just so hard to outlast. At some point, as you're doing your best to move along safely, he's going to have some throws that are just too much to handle. The horrible angles and bounces that they take as they come your way is a lot to deal with in your limited state. The worst thing about all of this, despite all these difficult jumps across all of these clouds, is once you do manage to get to the final stretch of clouds before the pipe, that's where he throws it into high gear and smashes right into you. It's the cheapest thing ever. It's like you can't get out of the way of this guy. Even if you manage to avoid through the whole stage and reach the end, multiple runs will get ended by him zooming right into you as you're landing. It seems like it'd be a good idea to try to take him out, but this is so much easier said than done. It's something you keep an eye out for, to go for once in a while, and that's where I found my break. But World 5 Stage 8 with Lakitu in the frog suit is absolutely brutal. After so many spiky stabs to the heart, it's the type of unforgiving, frustrating gameplay that makes you really understand how legitimately awful this frog suit challenge can be, which is how it's earned number 5 on the list. Number 4. World 7 Stage 3. Things start out with a couple hills that you could normally slide down, but they're not really a problem to jump through. There's a few hills in a row here that become a tedious rinse and repeat due to the horrible encounter you're about to make. Amongst these green hills, another Lakitu. This guy in the frog suit will haunt your dreams, and that's pretty much like how the sections play with him too. Like when you're encountering something or someone in your dream you know you could outrun, if only your body would listen to you and work, and you'd stop stumbling. That's your situation in the frog suit. There's no outrunning this horrible and torturous enemy. You are at his mercy in the frog suit, and as much as you try to stay optimistic that you'll break through eventually, he makes it incredibly hard. The throws are frustratingly good. You find yourself wishing he was more dumb and less dangerous, but you're dealing with some real assassins in the sky. They're serious problems. Eventually, I considered bringing a shell to try to take him down from the second hill, but he wasn't making this easy at all. After several more disappointing fails, I finally felt an opening to go for a bop. Seeing him actually get plunked and fall downward was straight up euphoric, but terrifying all at once because I knew it was only a matter of time until his replacement showed up, and we still cannot run. Fortunately, through a bit of drama, we were able to close it out. Whenever you have one of these horrible bullies up above you, it makes for a miserable and highly difficult time as the frog. And that is how Lakitu got into the top 5 2 levels in a row, and 7-3 was worthy of number 4 on the list. Number 3, Bowser's Keep. In the final level of the game, taking the frog suit over the fiery finish line can really be quite dreadful. The beginning will get your attention, since you can't just run through the lasers as you've done before, have to size up some jumps, but at least it's not too bad once you know where to jump from. The orbs will catch you if you're getting sloppy or rushing. The platforming over lava with the fireballs is bound to be a bit of a highlight, since after you make your way up, those platforms are all one space, and these kinds of jumps can just get away from you. The jumping over fireballs will demand your attention as well. Have to be careful and familiar with these things coming into the screen. The most cruel and dangerous part of this entire castle, though, is the fight with its king at the end. Bowser has some variety and unpredictability to this fight. If you're lucky, he may keep it pretty routine with a couple fireballs before his leap and ground pound, but he can make this fight absolutely terrible if he's releasing a third fireball at a weird time and angle. Getting hit this far into it is of course very sad. Having to repeat the castle again, which has a lot of tense moments for the frog suit. Last stage in the game isn't playing around, and Bowser has the power to make your life absolutely miserable, and you're kind of just hoping he plays nice for the most part. The lengthy, tough castle, capped with King Koopa and his cruel, unpredictable fireballs, have earned number 3 on the list. Number 2, World 5, Stage 6. These jumps, with his control, are absolutely horrific. I struggled with this stage so much, it really brought home just how extreme the jumping control can be. The sharpness of his momentum is absolutely killer. It's so much harder in the suit. During the Small Mario Challenge, for example, it's a little tense, but I didn't really have a problem with it. Nothing at all like this. It starts to feel like one of those impossible arcade games at some point. And when you do manage to get through quite a bit of it, before a costly mistake, you realize none of those successful jumps really mattered because you're doing it all over again. It can be a bit of a soul-crushing experience. A few deaths isn't too big of a deal, but when they really start to stack up, and in the horrible, uncertain ways they do stack up, it'll start to get even more intimidating and eat away at some of your confidence. These are hard jumps to make, especially when there's so many of them in a row. Not to mention the way the stage ends is the last thing you want to see. More single space landings, along with a flame chomp. Not after all those shells. Not something like this. This is one of the very worst experiences of the Frog Challenge. If somebody wants a potent taste of what these limitations have to offer, checking out a stage with Lakitu, or stringing together multiple jumps on single space shells, you will not be disappointed with how seemingly impossible things become. Even when it feels like you start to get it, one slip up is all it takes. Which is why 5-6 with these Paratroopa shells and a flame chomp to finish ended all the way up at number 2 on the list. Alright, before we get to number 1, there's quite a bit of honorable mentions to go through. There's a wide variety of challenges to encounter in the frog suit. To touch on several quickly, World 2's Fortress with the rising and lowering spikes. World 3 Stage 4, the first level with Lakitu. World 5 has several good examples. In particular, both of the fortresses are pretty tough. And to top it off, Roy's airship is also a legitimate challenge. World 6 Stage 1 is also a good contender. The ice physics in the frog suit are particularly awkward and it feels like you're hardly moving. World 7, between the two piranha plants. Also Stage 8, it was pretty tough to not put this one on the list due to the demanding platforming and just how long the level is. Ludwig's airship. It was tough to not place either of these levels on this list because they're two of the very hardest in the Small Mario Challenge. And just out of respect, World 8, Tanks 1 and 2 are both pretty reasonably hard. Moving on to the impossible levels. Later in the game, there turns out to be some, quote, impossible levels, without glitches or exploitations of course. 8 in total. World 6, Fortress 1, due to a small space. World 6, Stage 5, since you need to fly up and out for the exit. World 6, Fortress 2, because there's another small space. World 7, Fortress 1, another where you need to fly up and out to exit. World 7, Stage 7, since you can't run fast enough with the star, which is the entire theme of that level. World 7, Fortress 2, because of the small space. World 8, Stage 1, because of another small space. And finally, World 8, Fortress, you can get all the way to the end, but can't finish it due to another small space. Now that all of that's out of the way, what ended up being the biggest challenge in the frog suit? Here we are at the top of the list. Number 1, World 6, Fortress 3. It is absolutely ridiculous. The relentless and cruel nature of this level toward the frog suit is as close as Mario can get to feeling like something like Ghosts and Goblins. If you want some of the worst kind of NES hard type of feelings from Mario Bros. 3, bring the frog suit to World 6 Fortress 3. Things start off tense enough, with multiple orbs and boos, along with some dangerous jumps. After multiple tries, this whole beginning gets pretty well practiced and refined. There are two absolutely horrific parts of this level. The first being this thwomp, right next to an orbiting ball, over a conveyor belt of doom. This part is absolutely atrocious. Moments like these are when you realize you're going to have to dig deep. This is going to take a deeper level of commitment and execution. There's no running underneath this guy. The timing is very tight. You first have to bait the thwomp, then somehow manage to keep yourself just close enough to him in order for a precise hop through to get by unscathed. That right there is a difficult thing to get by, a crowning horrible moment for the challenge, followed by something that's arguably just as terrible. There's no running and jumping by the boos and orbs like you used to. Getting through all of this with the frog suit is atrocious. And as you know, any hit here means having to get by the thwomp on the conveyor belt again. This level is truly harder than nails with the frog suit. It all adds up to be some top class rage quit material. It feels insane to squeeze by this stuff. Something I realized was a little safe space in the middle, which is tight to get into, but can give you the edge before taking that second leap toward freedom. Want to know the worst feeling of all? Getting by both of these challenges and then failing on the final moments. I thought I could make this jump over the ghost in this last room, but no. Restarting the level from the beginning. And worse yet, how about making it through this fortress just for a slip up against Boom Boom? This has the potential to be demoralizing. It transforms what we know into a game that would have been infamous in its day if this was the movement. It wasn't easy, but we made it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in more gaming challenges, top 10s, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.